Can children outgrow their autism? Stick around to find out. Hi friends, my name is Claire and this is my channel, Woodshed Theory. Here, I make content about what it is like to live as an adult on the autism spectrum and whatever else feels good to me. So if that sounds good to you, or if you're feeling particularly gracious today, and I hope that you are, please go ahead and click the subscribe button. Ring the bell. I almost forgot to mention that I put out videos 3 times a week. Click the like, click the like. Thank you for interacting with my video. It really helps. Do autistic adults exist? Do children outgrow their autism? Can children outgrow their autism? What a fun topic. Something I hear from time to time from autistic people and non-autistic people alike is I used to be autistic when I was a child, but I outgrew it. Or I have a friend who had an autistic child, but he was cured. It can be difficult for me to listen to things like this as it has a lot of negative implications and shows really people's true thoughts and colors about how they feel about people who are on the autism spectrum. That it's something that needs to be cured or something that should be somehow squeezed out of an autistic child, their autisticness, until they are now neurotypical. It's a lot to think about. Can a child grow out of their autism? The answer is no. No, you cannot grow out of autism. You don't have autism as a child and then past a certain age, all of a sudden you are no longer autistic. And therefore, yes, autistic adults do exist. And you know what's even funnier? We don't act like kids. Isn't that weird? I mean, maybe sometimes, but doesn't everybody? You do not grow out of having autism. You don't get cured from having autism, just like autism doesn't appear in a person because they maybe got sick or your parents took a certain medication while they were pregnant with you, or you got a shot when you were a child and that turned you autistic. Just like those things are not scientifically sound, you're born autistic and you stay autistic forever. Why is that? Well, autism is a neurotype. And a neurotype is how your brain is wired and set up. Now, not every autistic brain looks the same. If you have enough symptoms to enough of a severity, then to the medical community, you are considered on the spectrum. Autistic, autism spectrum disorder, autism spectrum condition, you're one of us. So you cannot develop autism and then cure it. You can't have autism and then cure it. If you're born autistic, you will also pass into the next whatever as an autistic person. Of course, this then begs us to talk about why does an autistic person act so differently than when they are a child, to the extent where that person doesn't seem autistic or appear autistic to me. So what do you mean they're still autistic even though they don't act autistic or look autistic any longer? Well, a good while ago, I heard it explained in a way that really opened up my mind to thinking about it in a really positive and productive light. Now, I believe I heard this from Kaylin, who was on the cast of Love on the Spectrum US Season 1, and I'll go ahead and put her Instagram information up here somewhere. I think she had done an Instagram post that really resonated with me. And in that post, she said that we do not grow out of our autism, we grow into our autism. And there's a huge difference there. My autism is going to be with me for my entire life because of the way that my brain is set up. However, perhaps the way that I act or appear to other people might not seem like autism because I have grown into many of my symptoms and I'm able to address them and handle them in a much healthier way that doesn't appear as autistic to a neurotypical person. So I got to thinking about this idea of growing into your autism and why it might appear that adults lose their autism as they get older. And I've come up with some reasons that I feel are some healthy reasons and maybe some less healthy, maladaptive reasons that you might think that a person isn't autistic anymore. First, I think we can talk about behavioral issues as children. Autistic children absolutely struggle with behavioral issues. I'm not sure that I've met any autistic person who hasn't told me that they were kind of a trouble as children, as far as behaviorally speaking, getting into trouble at school or their actions around other people. I mean, autism is a social difference, a social disability, some people call it. And yeah, we tend to act incorrectly in almost every social situation. So having meltdowns in public or not saying the right thing, those are things that happen for children that when they do it, it's much more apparent. When a child's having a meltdown in a mall, it might look a lot different than an adult who's having a meltdown in a mall. So as we get older, we learn to hide our behavioral issues through masking. Masking our autistic traits isn't necessarily a good thing. However, it does allow for autistic people to fly under the radar because they are learning to mimic and mirror neurotypical behavior so that they can seem more neurotypical and fit into the neurotypical crowd. I would label this both healthy and unhealthy because it is important to learn to communicate with neurotypicals, but suppressing our autistic selves can be very dangerous and lead to depression and several other comorbidities. So far we start hiding our behavioral issues as adults, and also we start masking our autistic traits as we get older. This is either because we have been taught to do these things or because we're doing them out of self-preservation. It's difficult, right? Because it's okay to learn to change our behavior and how we adapt to things as we're older. And it's okay to act appropriately in a social situation, but we want to be careful that we're not suppressing who we really are as people and doing something harmful to our bodies and our souls. Another reason that it might appear to you that autism is something that you grow out of is because adults have better sensory regulation than children do. We just have years more experience learning sensory regulation than children. So if something happens to us, and especially if we're aware of our diagnosis, if we're aware of our autism, we can better take a step back and use our self-awareness to say, hey, I'm having an issue. You know, this might not be the most appropriate behavior in this setting. Maybe I should take a step back and change my behavior. Another reason is over time, adults will learn their symptom triggers and they will learn when they're happening and how to adapt. And again, that could be maladaptive in a bad way to hide, mask our autism, or learning how to do it in maybe a healthier way. So if you are having trouble focusing at a talk or sitting and listening, you might sit and listen to the speaker while you crochet or knit. That's something that helps me regulate, and maybe it doesn't seem like an autism symptom to you, but it's really helping me focus on what's going on. The final thing I was thinking about as to why it might appear that autistic adults don't exist, and that is avoidance behaviors. Avoidance behaviors are when you avoid doing something so that people don't see your behaviors. For example, you might not be able to tell that I'm autistic in a crowd of people if I never leave my house. If I don't put myself into social situations, if I don't put myself out there, then how would you ever know that I ever had any social issues, etc.? Obviously, this is a big topic. I could probably go on for a lot longer, but the thing that I wanted to focus on was that no, you don't grow out of being an autistic person. Yes, you do grow into being an autistic person. And as you become older and become more accepting of your autism diagnosis, or perhaps you're diagnosed as an adult and you're starting to accept your diagnosis, accept yourself more, you grow into your autism. And you start to, maybe I want to use the word harness, all of the wonderful things about being on the spectrum. The creativity, the focus, the ability to spot patterns in things. The list goes on and on. There's a lot of wonderful things about being autistic that after you learn about yourself, you're able to build up those things and learn maybe some mechanisms where you can leave the behavior that wasn't serving you behind. But no, that doesn't mean that you have healed your autism or that you're never going to have issues with social situations ever again. For example, I'm pretty good in a social situation, but that doesn't mean that I don't have social anxiety or that I don't say the wrong thing sometimes or speak out of turn, etc., etc., etc. You know what I'm talking about. So with all of that said, it's just important to reflect on who you are and learn to have peace in that. Being on the autism spectrum isn't a bad thing. Is it a difficult thing sometimes? Yes. Does it suck sometimes? Absolutely yes. But it's not a sentence to be tucked away forever, or that you're not going to have a life, or that you're not going to be able to do anything. We all experience our autism symptoms differently, but that means that we're all unique and that we all have strengths and weaknesses that we can look at and then move on from there. Remember not to lose your identity as an autistic person just because people dump you into one group, the autistics. Because we're all different, we all deserve to shine in our own unique way. If you're a parent watching right now and you're thinking, oh, I was hoping that she'd say that we could cure this, that we could get to the other side of this, I just want to encourage you that having autism isn't a terrible thing. It is a hard thing to go through as a child and to grow into, but it's absolutely worth all of the time and effort that you're putting into your child to help them get to that higher plane where they can take a step back and live a healthy and productive life as an autistic person. This is kind of hard to talk about. I know it's a little bit of a strange subject, but I have heard it before from people, oh, I used to have autism, now I don't. And I just wanted to address kind of where the fault was in that thinking and how we can move forward knowing that we're autistic for life. Autistic for life. Anyway, I hope that you have a great day. I'd love to hear your questions and comments below, and I will see you next time. Bye.